So within the accounting analysis page, we're going to go ahead and in this video cover bid packages, which lets you kind of create estimated shipping costs and revenue for, the pickup and drop off location combinations that you want to upload. So if I come into here, the first thing you have on this page is a list of all of the different purchasers. And we're going to go ahead and in this example go into Bravo Energy Core since I have a pre-built example in here. So I'm going to go ahead and click View Bid Packages. And in here, you can see I have one that I created in November for December bids, which was a little while ago at the time of this video, but that's okay. If I wanted to create a new one, I could click on the green Create New Bid Package and put in a name for that bid package. But we're just going to go into this one by clicking on the three-dot menu. Also in here is the ability to edit it, which lets you basically just change the name, as well as delete the bid package if you no longer need it. But we'll go ahead and click View and go in and get started with this bid package. All right, here on the bid package, you can see that there's quite a few different tabs in here that we're going to kind of run through here. But this first one here, summary, shows kind of the aggregate information that shows up here as a result of what we plug into these different tabs later in. So in here, basically what you get is you have different locations, the barrels per day, purchase price, transportation price, sell price, etc., and then the potential revenue for them. But in order to get started, let's go over here into the financial data where we can come into here and you can see a bunch of information that is pulled in automatically from different API locations. So in this case, this company is configured to be, transporting primarily crude. And so you can see it pulls in, spot prices for Oklahoma, NYMEX futures, etc., and other information. And you can see, a bunch of financial information in here, which, more likely than not, you may not need. You may have, more sophisticated sources, but this is kind of some open source information that you can have access to. The next tab here, pricing, lets you create custom pricing categories and put totals in there. So by default, I got basis, grade, diff, other, and roll for the pickup prices, and then you can also set them for your different drop-offs that we load in. If you want to customize these categories, you can delete and create different categories in here, however you want to run it. But after we go ahead and have this set up, you can put in the numbers. So I have a $28 purchase price and a $49 sale price for the specific location. And the next thing we need to do is kind of get our location set up. So we have pickup locations and we have drop-off locations. So we can either create them in here, by putting in a location name, a latitude, longitude, and barrels per day, or you can go ahead and import them in bulk. So you can download an import template and then import these in, and basically it's the same thing. It's, location name, latitude, longitude, barrels per day, and after you do that with the pickup and drop off, which more likely than not, you might want to put in a couple of different drop offs so you can, determine better routes and things like that. But after you have loaded in your pickup and drop off locations, you can go into the distance matrix page and calculate the distance matrix for these specific locations. So what we're going to do actually here is we're going to create a new drop-off location, and I'm going to take this one's latitude and longitude, and I'm going to change them just slightly. So we're going to take the same lat, but we're going to do, negative 103 instead. So let's create a new drop-off location. We're going to call this, example. We're going to do same latitude, and we're going to do negative 103 as our drop-off location. So you can see that's right there. And we'll say, they have 1,000 nominations or, potential pipeline space you can fill or whatever it needs to be. So we're going to go ahead and click Save. We now have this example drop-off location. And if we come into our distance matrix, you can see that the example doesn't have anything. But we can click on Calculate, and it's going to go ahead and fill out the distances from these pickup locations with this example drop-off location, which you can see is a little bit further in that case, but closer for some of these other ones. Kind of depends on where these locations were. And we can also click on a view map so you can see all this stuff. So your blues are going to be your drop-offs, and your reds are going to be your pickup locations. So we can, shrink the pin size down if you have a bunch of pins in there, show or hide different texts, things like that. So we can also export this distance matrix if you want to use it in like a different software package or something that you have. But after we've gone ahead and done that, the last step in here before we kind of go back to that summary page is to load in transportation rates. So the transportation rates, you can see we've got our different mileage buckets and the prices. These are the standard rates I had loaded in for this test example carrier. But you can go ahead and select any rate sheet out of the system. So if I had other rate sheets for this specific purchaser, Bravo Energy Core, I could pull rates, other rates for them. Otherwise, if you want to import the rates directly, you can go ahead and do that, as well as the ability to export in here. But now that we've all got it all set up, we're going to go back over to the summary page and kind of just close out looking at that one more time with all of this in mind. All right, so previously we went in and we put in the pricing information. It looks like I forgot one last little thing here. We do want to put in the pricing for this other example location. So we're going to go ahead and say that it has a $54 sale price, and we're just going to put it in the basis, not in these other categories. And we already went in and loaded in pickup and drop-off locations, made sure the matrix looked good, and made sure that the rates looked good as well. But now the part in here that's useful is within our summary page, we can go ahead and see, the estimated profitability for these different locations kind of compared with each other. So coming into here, if this is kind of like your entire package right here, you can see that, there's these different dollar per barrel amounts. They get calculated as revenue, and based on the barrels per day and the nominations, you can see your daily totals potentially in here. This does take into consideration the transportation costs. So as you come in here, you can say we have 1,000 barrels per day at this location, 450 at Bria, 45 here in this package, with the miles between here, the example location, which do differ between the example and the Granby Renmark in here. But the purchase prices, you can see that they're the same in both, 70,000. The transportation costs, because of the distance difference, will be a little bit different for this example location, which was a little bit further out. If we go back and look at the distance matrix map, for most of these locations, the example location was kind of further away from some of these main ones. And so you'll notice that going back into our summary, the average dollar price for the example, it's $308 per barrel transportation versus $288 for this one that's a little bit closer. However, we did set the revenue a little bit higher. So in here you can see that there's $54 per barrel sale price. So in this case, even though the transportation cost costed more, the revenue, as a function of dollars per barrel is quite a bit higher. So pretty useful if you have, differential sale prices or whatever to come into here and kind of quickly and easily put in, how much purchase price you can do versus sales price for different locations. Calculate in the, automatically have Google calculate the distances, which these could be different if there's toll roads or restricted roads or things like that, but usually it's a pretty good estimate. And, compare, bulk series of drop-off locations where you can get paid out and, use real live transportation rate data with, auto-calculated Google map distances and kind of quickly evaluate whether or not, what would be the best potential bid package and, how you want to kind of proceed with that. So fairly useful. Now, there is the big disclaimer down here that, route distances may not take into consideration restricted roads. There's other additional fees that may happen if there's like chain up or, mask up hazards, demurrage on their stuff. So kind of just use it as an estimate, but fairly powerful tool within LoadCall to take in some of the pre-built LoadCall data and, kind of use it to create on the fly, really quick, in-depth bid package analysis for you. So that's the bid packages within LoadCall as a part of the accounting analysis tool feature set.